Okay, everyone ready? Rolling? Excellent. Ready to go? Excellent. Well, happy holidays, everyone, and let's make sure we make good decisions on our roads so that it will be a happy holiday for everyone. We know that when school is out this afternoon, we will see more people on our roads, essentially immediately, as they travel to holiday destinations right across the state. But also over that Christmas period, people will be travelling for Christmas to see family, to see friends. So really encouraging everyone to make good decisions this holiday period. Make sure it is a happy holiday for you, your family and our emergency service personnel. And the reason why I say that is every time there is a serious traffic accident on our roads, our emergency service personnel are called to those incidents and they're exposed to that trauma. They are impacted as well by people's bad decisions on our roads. So I ask everyone, make good decisions on our roads, put road safety as the #1 wish on your Christmas wish list this year, and ensure that you're looking after all the people in your car, all the other road users that you might come across. And there is another strong message to reinforce as well. We've been doing it, actually this is about the 4th time this week that I've done media around it, and that is reminding people that if it's flooded, forget it. This is storm season. It's rain season, it's cyclone season, and what that means is that there is likelihood of flash flooding in many parts of our state. Please make sure you're making those good decisions during rain periods so that you're not caught in floodwaters and that you're prioritising the safety of yourself as well as all the other people in your vehicle. So if it's flooded, forget it. I'll now ask the wonderful people here from our emergency services and police to say a few words. Ben, do you want to go first?
Thank you, Min. Good morning, everybody, and thank you once again for your continuing interest in road safety. Your partnership with you guys is very important for us. We're announcing the start of Operation Tango Mistletoe, which is our Christmas, New Year and school holiday road safety campaign. Runs from midnight tonight until just after Australia Day, so Friday the 28th. All available police resources will be out during this time, promoting road safety and looking for people who are doing the wrong thing. Road toll at the moment in Queensland, the lives lost in Queensland this year stands at 267, which is 9 more than the same time last year. And as we keep telling you, last year was a bad year. Our motorcycle lives lost this year stands at 64, which is 12 more than the same time last year. So we're asking people to plan their trips, and before they try and cover great distances, which is what happens at this time of year, ask yourself 2 questions. Is your car prepared, and are you prepared? Is your vehicle in good condition? Do you have good tyres? Are the tyre pressures right? Is the windscreen in good condition? Do you know where you're going? And are you prepared? Are you well rested? Have you checked the BOM website? For those of you that don't know this, the Bureau of Meteorology puts out storm warnings, flash flood warnings, real-time rain radars. It's available to anyone on bom.gov.au. We're also obviously targeting the fatal 5, which is people and their commitment to seatbelts, distracted driving, which is mobile phones. Of course, we have new cameras out now that are catching people not wearing seatbelts or using a mobile while they're driving. Drink and drug driving, which is a major problem for us, particularly on the beaches. And for some reason, there appears to be an attitude that the road rules don't apply on our beaches. Of course they do, and we often see fatalities on beaches at this time of the year. Speeding, which is a major issue for us, because we know that not only does speeding increase the chances of you having a crash, it also increases the severity of the injuries or fatalities from that crash. And the final one is, of course, fatigue. It's a very large state. People are going to want to travel great distances, and they're going to try and do it in one hop. Please don't do that. Plan your trip, share the driving, make the journey part of the holiday. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Queensland Fire and Emergency Services urges all Queenslanders that are out on the Fire and Emergency Services attends nearly 14,000 road traffic crashes every year. And unfortunately, some of those involve fatalities, and we don't want you to be a fatality this festive season. In addition, since the 1st of November this year, Queensland Fire and Emergency Services and over 33 of those have involved people trapped in vehicles requiring to be rescued, and sadly 4 of those have involved fatalities. So please, we're trying to get the message across that if it's flooded, forget it. What that means is if you turn up at a causeway and there's water flowing over the road, stop. Don't be persuaded by who might be in the car with you or cars that might be behind you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Queensland Ambulance Service acknowledges that the road toll this year in Queensland is quite horrific, and we're heading into a particularly busy season on our roads, and identify that there will be more crashes. We encourage everyone to take some precautions. If you're out and about, pack a first aid kit, something to keep you going, just in case that happens. We also acknowledge that you might be out on roads that you are not familiar with. It's a good idea to keep an idea of where you are, take some notice of some cross streets around you, which will make it easier for us to be able to respond to you in a timely manner. We also encourage people to observe those fatal five as well. In particular, we're seeing a lot of people who are not wearing seatbelts involved in crashes, and we see the difference between a very minor injury or next to no injury for those wearing a seatbelt and the difference with somebody who might be ejected from a vehicle and have some quite significant injuries. Our people are exposed to these crashes every day, and it does take a toll on the mental health of paramedics and other first responders around the place, as well as witnesses to these accidents. I'll reiterate what everyone else has said today. With the current weather situation, we are seeing more vehicles in flooded waters. Please, if it's flooded, forget it. Thank you.
Any questions about road safety?
Obviously, another life lost. It's 2 or 24 hours. It's awfully tragic, and as the Commissioner just touched on there, it's difficult for all the emergency services that have to obviously respond to these situations.
Absolutely. So another tragedy, a tragedy on so many levels occurred last night, and our thoughts are with all the people who knew the lady who lost her life. Will be a very sad Christmas for those family and friends. And so we've just got to keep repeating those messages around if it's flooded, forget it. Don't risk it. Don't risk it. Whatever you do, don't risk it. If you see flood waters across the road, back it up, keep everyone safe that's in that car.
Minister, it must be said that looking into the future, when we get, obviously we're getting some more weather that's been very similar to what we've experienced in the last 2 weeks, that I guess you could use this platform now as a deterrent or a message to people saying that fines do apply if you do drive through floodwaters, and if you are rescued, you actually will face
entering those floodwaters. But I think any fine is insignificant compared to the loss of life. That should be front and centre, that if you're risking it, if you're going to drive into floodwaters, if there's water across the road and you're going to drive through it, the consequence could be a fatality. The consequence could be life-changing. That should always be front and centre in people's minds.
Those last two fatalities seem to have been somewhat metropolitan as opposed to some of the ones you've seen out in the rural areas. Do you think perhaps some of the more city people aren't quite aware of just how dangerous those causeways could be? They would be innocent enough, would they?
Yeah. Look, people make decisions, and I'm not going to second guess people's decisions. But what I encourage everyone to do is, if there's any water on the road, if there's any flood water on the road, just back it up. Don't even risk it. No matter how familiar you might be with the area, with the road, with the circumstance, with the conditions, just don't risk it. You don't know what's in those waters, you don't know what's coming down the creek, you don't know what's coming through across the road. Just don't risk it.
Minister, the vaccine mandate for the SES volunteers and for RFS volunteers, while the association says they're on board with it, are you worried that you're going to lose some more members, considering how many you lost during the blue card mandate as well?
Yeah. Look, there seems like there's a bit of nonsense around this story as well. There is no additional vaccine mandate for the Rural Fire Service or the State Emergency Service. For those that are engaged, as they have been for the last 6-12 months, in doing hotel quarantine work or work on the border, as would be expected, to manage their risk and to keep them safe, they've had to be fully vaccinated. for those volunteers who have been assisting with those border duty works or the hotel quarantine works. But for everyone else, the expectation is no greater than for all other Queenslanders. Of course, me personally, the government, over 80% double vaxxed in Queensland expects everyone to make the right decision as good citizens and get vaccinated. But there is, at this stage, no further expectation for SES or Rural Fire Service volunteers to be vaccinated. Of course, the Chief Health Officer may look at circumstances moving forward, and the Chief Health Officer may make decisions moving forward. But at this stage, the expectation is you're a great citizen already, you volunteer for your community, you help your community, also be a good citizen by getting vaccinated. But certainly there's no further mandate or expectation at this time.
What about a mandate for QAS workers?
Well, at this stage, the Chief Health Officer has not made any direction around that. Of course, again, the expectation is, and it's my personal expectation, it's the expectation of the Commissioner and the government, is that everyone be vaccinated, because that's the best way we can keep the entire community safe.
But it's not
And
mandatory though, is it?
No.
Not like ambulance and like police, that's something different.
Well, they're assessments which are made by the Chief Health Officer around exposure to risk, around the roles that people undertake. But certainly when it comes to our almost 90% have a single vax, the expectation from all Queenslanders is that everyone gets vaccinated anyway.
Minister, can you see it as hypocritical, considering there's a mention for those 1,900 police officers today in court? Can you
The
see that as hypocritical?
1,900 or...
There was not 19, that's not how many officers have been stood down. But can you see it as the government is hypocritical if paramedics and police have to have the mandate, health workers, but then fireys don't?
Well, it's always been based around the expert health advice. So the Chief Health Officer makes...
How are they different though?
well, the Chief Health Officer makes the assessments. We've always relied on the advice of the Chief Health Officer. So, I encourage you to seek further answers from the Chief Health Officer if you so need to. But my understanding is the Chief Health Officer has made these directions based on the roles people do, the risks that they have, but also the potential exposure that they might have in the people that they may come in contact with. So these are all assessments made by the Chief Health Officer throughout the entire pandemic. We've always taken the advice of the health experts, the key scientific experts on this, and will continue to do so.
Commissioner, can I get your thoughts on, please? At your level, with your officers or speaking with your unions, have you had any feedback yet as to why or
service, and that includes nearly 4,000 staff and around 35,000 volunteers. And we've done a comprehensive risk assessment about the sorts of duties that our people do every day, and we are out in community hundreds of times every day, and because of that exposure, I'm certainly urging all of our people to get vaccinated. I understand that some people have concerns about that, and so my advice to them is to go and see their GP and have a conversation about their circumstances. And we're working very closely with the Chief Health Officer to ensure that the Chief Health Officer understands what we do on a daily basis. And if the Chief Health Officer determines that a mandate is required, I would support that, because I want our people to be safe.
Thank you for your honesty, Commissioner. So, have you got concerns then that you will lose members?
Look, volunteers do join us, and some choose to leave, and we do see a certain amount of attrition each year, but we also see a lot of recruitment as well. And our state emergency service numbers have been quite steady for the last few years, and in fact we've had a solid number of people seeking to join the organisation. Likewise with our rural fire service, I'm quite confident that we've got sufficient volunteers across the state to provide a service. We would always welcome more, and I'd certainly like to thank all of those volunteers who give their time to serve their local communities.
Deputy Commissioner, can I just get one on road safety? Again, there's 2 deaths in the last 2 days, obviously extremely tragic. Can you just give some insight into this, how difficult it is for your officers and for the other emergency services that have to deal with these things as well?
Yeah, look, absolutely, and I thank you for the question. I particularly like your question before around It's not just occurring in rural areas, it's in the city. Firstly, can I just say that all 4 matters in the last 3 weeks, exactly 3 weeks, they're 4 separate incidents. They're all before the coroner. But I'm happy to share with you a couple of irrefutable facts about it just to bring this into stark relief, and then I'll address your question. It's 4 people who are very good, honest, hard-working people. These are not people doing something stupid or reckless. They're all older people. 2 of them are male, 2 are female. 2 occurred in rural areas, 2 occurred in the city, 2 occurred during the day, and 2 of them occurred at night time. This is real. This is Queensland in storm season. We get flash flooding for a reason. We've got some of the most gifted hydrologists in the world working for the Bureau of Meteorology in Australia. They sit down and they work out just how wet the watercourses are. One of the reasons you get flash flooding in cities is because there's so much more hard surfaces, so much more concrete, steel, bitumen. Storms come and go quickly. Flash flooding occurs quickly. The creeks go up quickly and they go down quickly. What we're asking you to do is to wait. Just wait. First question I think we should all ask ourselves is, do I really need to be driving around in the middle of a thunderstorm? Can I delay that trip? Do I have to drive at all? And if you see a flooded road, stop, turn around, forget it, drive away. Now on to your point, and I do thank you for raising it, because the people that stand behind you, we've got a collective 120 years of service around this type of thing. It's hard. It is really hard. The swiftwater rescue crews have to get into boats to go down and find the cars. They're going through barbed wire fences, trees, animal carcasses, that type of thing. The ambulance has to extricate the deceased people, and that's never good. The police have to conduct the investigations or do the underwater searches. We also have to go and knock on the doors of loved ones, next to kin. 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 police officers with their hats in their hands at your door, you know straight away what it's going to be. It's not going to be good. So yes, it is hard. But the most important part is it's completely preventable, entirely preventable. You don't have to drive through floodwaters. Just don't do it. If it's flooded, forget it, turn around. Any other questions at all? Thank you very much for your time. Cheers.